of hearing our wonderful voices this week. So I wanted to make sure we we still got on
Yes,
board
all our
with this. You know.
millions of fans. We do not want to disappoint them. Potential millions of fans. So,
A
what?
stranger's just a fan that hasn't heard of
Sending
heard
out good
us yet.
vibes.
Jeez.
Um,
Oh,
okay, so this week's gonna be pretty different. We're really gonna cut it short, unfortunately. But because we're taking a step back and reassessing what the podcast is, I think something we've been talking about and we want to apply to this is just a sense of community and the people that are veterans, not of just film, but veterans for the military in the United States, and we would like to bring on people from that world that are in the industry and promote them and ask them questions. And so we're going to be doing some of that, and we're also going to be taking a step back and looking at veterans who are actually in film and have made progress, bigger names, people that uh, were pioneers for the industry, and actors, filmmakers, etc. What do you think about
now
that, Dan?
Paul, when you say actors that people that are already in the industry or pioneers, do you have any examples that you can share?
Well, yes, I can, but I'm not going to. I mean, that's a spoiler. Okay, I'll tell you the first one. The first one we're going to be going.
I think you just told me to shut my dirty mouth.
Shut your dirty mouth, Dan. No, we're going to be talking about, or we're considering doing a story like episode on Jimmy Stewart, who was a veteran and, I mean, pretty big actor and filmmaker. So I'm really excited about that, and we've got a few people that are interested in coming on the podcast to talk to us, veterans here in LA, and they're working the industry, either stand-up comedy or acting or just, being an idiot. So
Oh man, I am super excited to talk to some of these people.
I am
Like
too. I think that
just to
showing,
see where they started and where they're heading. It's amazing.
yeah, I mean, there's not an understanding. Honest, I didn't have this understanding that there were a community of veterans here in LA until I got here and started talking to people, and there is a lot going on in this world that a lot of people don't know about, and I just want to shine a light on that. And I've met some great people, and I want to help them get to the next level of their career. And I think this is a good opportunity for that. And we're also, still going to talk about films and things that are happening in the industry. We're just going to be a little more streamlined on what we want and what we want to convey, and kind of stand out as a podcast. Because let's face it, there's a lot of podcasts out there, and you can get really muddled and really lost in the shuffle. So we're excited about this, and I think I'm really excited to have Dan on this journey because Dan is my boy. My boy Blue.
Ooh.
And if there's some stuff we want to create,
It's appropriate. I feel 80.
what?
So that's strangely appropriate. I feel 80.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun on the podcast. We're gonna really bring something new to the table, and I don't know. I'm excited about that. Dan, do you have any ideas of what you want to talk about in the future, like going forward, the segments that you want to bring up or create?
Well, I mean, there's a few things that I've got kind of cooking,
Yeah,
but nothing that I'm ready to share with yet. Um,
no problem.
just things that I'll pitch. We'll see how it goes. But I am really excited to kind of put a highlight on you know this podcast and kind of step aside, because you can always get just a bunch of people sitting down talking to each other about what the next speculation of the next Marvel movie or DC, like you can find that anywhere, but really, I mean, you don't see a lot of people just kind of uncovering that community, and kind of allowing, so to speak, other people to just kind of come in and be a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, yeah, we're all veterans, but first and foremost, I mean, we're all Americans, or humans. So
I'm not gonna lie. I teared up a little just then. That was beautiful.
yeah, thanks. That was my Independence Day speech.
Oh wow. You pulled a Bill
It
Pullman.
needs a lot of work.
You pulled a Bill Pullman. It's hard to say. Yeah. No, I still want to talk about movies. I still want to do that. I think you're right, though. I think this feels deeper. It's something that we're passionate about and something we want to. I've always been really big an advocate for bringing people together and just propping them up and helping them succeed and getting their name out there. And this is a great way to do that. And it's acting is so hard, man. It's just the industry and filmmaking. It's such a hard place to get your foot in the door and just move forward. And I know that from personal experience. And anything I can do to help other people
You know
excites
what?
me.
That kind of leads me into something that I'd like to try if you're down.
I'm scared, but yes, what?
You should be, because you're a veteran.
Uh-huh.
You're in the industry.
Uh-huh.
It only seems appropriate that you're our first guest.
Well, I could be. I could be.
Paul.
Oh crap! All right, man. You know what's funny?
It's too late. We are in the fire.
I was actually considering putting this on you. I was going to be like, Dan, you're our first guest because you're a veteran.
It sounds like you were a little slow on this.
Wow. I really regret not doing this first. Oh well, here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Put it on me.
You live, you learn.
Yes.
All right.
I'm Paul Dixon. I go by Paul Allen Dixon as my stage name, and I've been in LA for about 6+ years now. And originally from Alabama, I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force. I was in for 6 years, and I was stationed with.
What'd you do in the Air Force?
Well, I first was security forces when I first joined, and then after about 2 years, I transferred into refueling maintenance and worked on the trucks that refueled the jets. So we did that together, actually, and I was one of those mechanics that had never touched a wrench until I became a mechanic. I was not. I mean, they put you where they feel is best for you to serve, and it just wasn't for me. But I'm really happy I got to meet people like you.
You may sound, or you may feel or convey that it wasn't for you, in that you weren't necessarily good at it. But I do want to reinforce that, dude, you were great. Like, seriously, I worked with you. You were awesome.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that, and I really, when it comes down to it, I wouldn't change a thing because I met great people that I'm still friends with to today. I'm
talking about me. I'm great.
You're not the only person, okay? There are other people.
Just let me have my vanity.
Your danity?
My danity. I like it. We're gonna trademark that one.
Trademark, yeah. Yeah, when I was a kid, I performed for my grandparents, and I lived with them at the time, and I would perform The Lion King and different movies and do my sister.
Okay,
and,
so
yeah.
So can I hop in really quick? I got a question about performing The Lion King.
Okay.
So when you say that you performed The Lion King, you obviously you put on a production for them. What did you do about all the animals to start with? Like, can you set a scene on that one?
Okay, so we didn't have animals, so we would have to use this thing called acting and pretend like we had animals or were animals, and we would have to do the music, and we would lip sync. We wouldn't actually sing. I mean, we were really young, and Lion King to this day is still my favorite Disney movie. So
Right on.
I had no idea it was based off of a Shakespeare play. I mean, who is this guy? Shakespeare? I don't know. But I didn't know much about anything at that point. I just knew Lion King was the greatest Disney movie of all time, and besides Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. My grandparents loved it, and my sister, she was a good Scar. She was she was already kind of scary, so she just kind of brought that out. She would
Oh yeah.
she put on like a long coat and like a brim hat, and she became like scary, and it was really cute. But it still scares me to this day. You know?
Right on.
Yeah, man. So I never explored acting till I got into high school, and I started doing drama class, and just writing a few scenes and acting them out, and it didn't really go beyond anything till much later. I got out of the Air Force, and years passed. I was in my early 30s. Now I'm in my later 30s. I started exploring acting classes in Las Vegas, and I was training with John Armand at the acting studio there. It's no longer around. He unfortunately passed away. Shout out to the class of Armand. No, he was a great guy. He reminded me a lot of, or Henry Winkler reminds me a lot of him in Barry. So it's.
I still have to see that.
Oh man, Barry's great. Yeah, I still gotta get caught up past season 1, but it's pretty great. Yeah, so he was my first acting coach. I did skip ahead a bit. I did do a little bit of work in San Francisco. I did my first training there for improv and acting classes, but I had taken a break after that to go be a corporate dog or whatever, and I worked at a slot machine company in Vegas, which is where I found
you gotta grind out that existence.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I'm not gonna go into that, but it was an experience for like 5 years. It's fine.
But I do know through that experience, like you did some things that were kind of off on your own, while you were being that corporate dog.
Yeah, I got to the point where I was like, I just need to do something creative. So I started writing short films with some buddies I went to school with. I was paying out of pocket, just taking a couple of classes. That's where I met Tyler, who I'm still buddies with today, and we made some short films. One of them in particular where Dan starred as George R.R. Martin. The name of the film is A Song of Ice and Fire RR. And he plays a very demonic version of George R.R. Martin, which we feel is very accurate to the behind-the-scenes version that we don't see. He seems very nice in real life, but I don't know, man. But dude, I have to shout you out now, because that was when we made that short film. I just knew you were gonna nail it, and you did in every way. It was phenomenal.
Oh well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, dude. So we made some short films together, and then I quit my job one day and moved to LA about 6 years ago, and one of the best decisions I ever made. And I've been out here just hustling, man. And finally, in the last year, I started really getting traction. I was in 2 different TV shows, one including a recurring a recurring role in Perry Mason on HBO. And I also got another co-star in All Rise, which is on the Oprah Winfrey Network. I'm really thankful for those experiences. I'm hoping it'll be more to come. But yeah, that's where my career is now. I'm also I just did a play in Long Beach for Peer Gynt, which I got to play 7 different characters. It was insane. And then right now I'm rehearsing for The Tempest by that Shakespeare guy. And yeah, it's come together. I'm looking to hopefully get back into making some short films in the near future, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward.
See, and that's awesome. I'm super I'm super excited to see where you're going with everything. Now, I did have a couple of follow-up questions on some of the things that like some of the films that made you? Like what would you say like your top 5 films that you know reference or go back to all the time? Like what really gave you that
But
bug?
I'll tell
Just
you,
that
as an
sense of being.
yeah, as an actor, the one I always go back to that really affected me as a child was Back to the Future. Michael J. Fox was just he was it for me as an actor. I thought he was the greatest. I would actually force my grandfather to take me to the video store. I would find a Michael J. Fox film, and and this might have been not long after Back to the Future, but I was very naive as a young kid, and I had seen Teen Wolf, which I love.
Oh
It's a
yeah, Teen
terrible
Wolf.
movie, but it's awesome. Teen Wolf, best thing in the movie, him surfing USA on the top of the van. It's so great. Um, so I would force my grandfather to take me to a video store, and then I'd find something like The Secret of My Success, and I would tell my grandfather, I bet he turns into a werewolf in this movie too. And he would be like, "No, that I don't think Michael J. Fox is going to turn into a werewolf in this movie." I'm like, "Yes, he will.
Just give it time.
Just give it time. He will do it." And then,
And if he doesn't, you just say it's clearly, it wasn't a full moon.
well, I brought it to the front counter and I said, "He turns into a werewolf in this movie, right?" And the guy's like, "No." So Michael J. Fox was the best. Top 5. Okay, well, I mean, I have to mention The Dark Knight. I mean, I remember the movie
Oh yeah.
experience, seeing the movie in IMAX in Las Vegas. I'll never forget that. Uh, it was life changing to see someone. I to this day I look at Heath Ledger's performance and I cannot see that actor. He became
You know,
something,
I would like to kind of throw something out there in direct reference to Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
When when they first announced it, when they were talking about they were gonna include the Joker in like the next movie, and they didn't even really have a title yet, or it was just kind of like a working concept. I remember going over to your apartment, and you were just sitting at your computer, and it's like you were sitting there in a fever dream trying to speculate who is going to be the next Joker. And you're like, dude, they have to, like, it seems really unconventional. This is like Brokeback Mountain or Knight's Tale. Like he didn't really seem to fit psychological like horror in those regards, like that really broken soul. But you're like, no, this would be amazing, and you kind of talked to me about it, and you were all hyped up, and I just remember sitting there going, really, that guy, and I was wrong.
I tell you, everyone was like that. And the first time I heard it, I was like, that was not the choice I expected. But I never like fully hated the idea. I really needed to wrap my head around it. And then when I started hearing what he was going to do with the role and the things he was taking from, like, Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange, he said that, and he said Sid Vicious and the Sex Pistols, and I was just like, God, that's amazing. That's going to be something, and it just got me hyped, man. And I knew it was going to be great. And funny story, I got to school the day he died, had no idea that he died. And the first person to tell me before I even entered the building about his death was your wife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She let me know that, and I was just like, oh damn.
Yeah, that was a hard day.
Like, oof.
I had to leave school after I looked it up online. Anyway, it was a tragedy, but I always go back to that film, and I always just kind of think about the fact that he was able to immerse himself in that. Another one that I always bring up is Schindler's List. Schindler's List.
Oh.
I cry like a baby towards the end of that movie. I know that's not an indication of like this is a great movie, reason to love a movie or reason to put it in your top 10. But there's just so much special care put into that film beyond just that scene towards the end. And Steven Spielberg just he's the greatest. Probably one of my favorite directors of all time. Controversial, I know. So I really love that film for many reasons. It something I was always interested in the Holocaust, but I never looked into it or got really interested until that film. And it just made me, it kind of formed me into a better person. I know it's weird to say, but it's like it made me realize the atrocities and the terrible things that happen in the world are something we have to stand up against and fight, you know?
Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
film and even TV, any media. You've got music, TV, movies, comics, books, anything that can kind of just challenge you to grow and show you another side of humanity. Like that, I think Schindler's List is a very poignant pick. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. Well said. Fourth one, God, this is hard. This is so hard. You put me on the spot, man.
Oh yeah, you had no. I do want to let everyone know that Paul has had zero preparation. He's actually been trying to do setup for other like other avenues that we wanted to go down, and I kind of took a cheap shot in trying to make sure I put him on the spot
You
first.
son of a bitch. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, we'll get over it.
The good news is I have
You can't quit me.
I have an app that will allow me to see my top 10 films.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, it's letterboxed. I know a lot of movie fans use this one. So I'm gonna pull up my list for top 10 movies of all time. Okay, yeah, okay. Well, I mean, there's no surprises here.
You almost sound disappointed though. You're like, oh.
Well, I was hoping, I'm not going to say anything that people probably don't know about, but at the same time, it's like, well, of course it's one of the most, but to go back to influential films, maybe I can pull from that a little more. Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yes.
The amount of filmmaking put into that, the details, the love that Peter Jackson just, I don't know why The Hobbit wasn't as good, but that's another story. It was just so unexpectedly magical for me because I didn't know anything
have my
about
speculations on The Hobbit.
Yeah, I didn't have any idea what I was going to see though because I never grew up with Lord of the Rings. I never read the books. I never read The Hobbit. I didn't know anything. So I saw this film and it changed my world. Like it really did. I saw that movie. I must have seen it 5 times in the theater at least because I remember the 5th time I was going to see a film with some friends that wanted to see something that looked really shitty, and I was like, I'm gonna go see Lord of the Rings again. So I went by myself, and I fell asleep because I had seen it so many times.
You should.
And it wasn't because I was bored. I'd seen it so much, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't help myself.
You weren't bored. You were home.
Yeah, I was home. I was comfortable. That's right. That's a great way to put it. I like that. I want to stay away from comic book movies. I feel like that's all I'm going to bring up. Another influential film, I think that it's safe to say, The Godfather.
Oh, I knew it. I was waiting for that one to come up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I remember in high school being obsessed with Al Pacino and that performance in the first movie, and just I wouldn't say there was a specific movie that made me want to be an actor, but I can tell you that's a film that was the first film that I saw that made me understand that cinema can be more than just pictures moving. It goes into deep into your soul. and it plants a
Oh,
seed, and
yes.
it creates this idea that, wow, this is something special and something different that isn't just fluff. It's operatic, Shakespearean, and uh, yeah, it was so beautiful, man. The whole, I mean, I would say the whole trilogy, but just the first two movies. The third one, it was all right. The first two, though, yeah. So that I would say those are my top five. Yeah.
See, that's awesome. And I think that, a lot of people can kind of learn from certain. I don't want to just kind of pigeon toe it into or like debase it down to just actors, but anybody. You can learn a lot about anyone just from like their top five. Whether it's a director, okay, what kind of styles do they really like?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Actors, what kind of range are they interested in? Like, um, just all the way down to like the sound boom guy. Like the sound engineer. Like what kind of authentic, you know, audio is he looking for?
Like Foley
So
sounds.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No,
So
I think a lot of people do not give enough credit to sound in films. I remember,
oh, absolutely
I don't know
not.
where the quote came from, but somebody had said something, quoted a quote, that you can watch a shitty movie with great sound, but you can't watch a beautiful movie with shitty sound. Cause
You've actually said that to me multiple
yeah,
times.
it's true. It's true. But I got
Because
that
half
quote
of
from
my
somewhere
videos
else.
had crappy audio.
Yeah. uh, yeah.
And you'd always pull me to the side and go, "Man, you got to work on that." I can't watch
Well,
another one.
I have to say, man, I always thought it was amazing. You would go out of your way to go make stuff, like the YouTube channel content. I always thought that was so admirable and exciting. You know,
Well,
uh,
that's because I am wildly stubborn.
you're what?
Wildly stubborn.
Wildly stubborn. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I've known that for a long time.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm really glad I got to share all that. I could go on forever with things that have influenced me, but those are the things that just pop out of my head. And
Yeah, and I love how excited you get about
yeah,
film, and it's not even necessarily anything that just you're in. It's not coming from a very vain place. It's coming from a place where you are just excited about it.
yeah, I love
You
talking
would
about
sit down
movies.
and
I love
talk
it.
about the
Yeah.
Godfather for 2 hours. I think there's one time we sat down and we talked about like the Snyder cut of the
Yeah.
Justice League,
Yeah.
and we were on the phone for 3 hours.
Well, see, that's something
Like
I really
it was
want.
a long time.
Yeah, I want to do stuff like that too, and it doesn't have to be the main podcast, or it can be just kind of in between podcasts. We record our conversations talking about a film we recently watched, and we just talk
Yeah.
about that for like an hour and just call it a day. I actually saw recently a film that I really wanted to talk to you about, and I realized, oh, there's no way in hell Dan's seen that. And that's not
You
like
don't know. You don't
Well,
know. You gotta ask me.
All
So I
right.
can tell you no, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, I'm excited to ask now. Have you seen the movie Under the Skin with Scarlett
No, I
Johansson?
haven't.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So
I feel good about that one.
that I
That's
wanted,
a cut, right? Cut.
but did you say but?
No. I said that's a cut, right?
That's a
It's a
cut.
cut.
I'm not surprised. I would say it's definitely not a film that is for everybody, but it creeped me the fuck out. So, stuff like that I want to do more of. Again, it's all about streamlining what the show is about. And it's really the meat and bones of this is film vets, their experiences, and let's talk about movies. And I think
Absolutely.
that's something fun. That excites me.
Oh, I am absolutely stoked to be able to just kind of sit down and just to discuss. I mean, we have had some I want to say amazing conversations on film, and some of the things like I wish I could have recorded it and just put it out there for other people to hear, because we would get like deep down into some really crazy theories. We would just kind of break things apart. We would have fun with it, even just kind of pick fun at some of the stuff. So I mean, I definitely want to keep that going. And you know, if there's anybody that has any kind of random, like obscure film that you think we should see, let us know. We'll watch it. We'll review it. just make it weird though. It's
No,
gotta be weird.
I know you met Tony. Shout out to
I
my
love
boy
Tony.
Tony. Yeah, so Tony. Tony is a cinephile to the extreme. He's so knowledgeable and just. I hope if he's listening to this, because I'm pretty sure he listened to the last, or at least the first podcast. Please suggest movies for us to watch. Because
Tony, give us something super weird.
like don't do that. Assignment. No, it's gonna be weird.
No. I want like
so
like
weird.
open up that lead-lined box of Odd and just pull out something that is just so bizarre that, you know, I'll be awake at 3 a.m. staring at my ceiling wondering, what the hell did I just watch? I want that.
Shit.
I need that in my life. Tony, make that happen.
Oh, careful what you wish
I love
for.
that guy.
No, he's great. He's the best. I mean, yeah, I'm excited for the future. I hope you guys, you listeners, come along for the ride and, you know, listen to our babblings of such things. And, you know, I am not beholden to anything, one thing with the podcast. It can be anything. It could evolve into, you know, who knows what. But I think this is a great start. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thank you for the interview.
yeah. If anybody out there has any kind of off the wall questions, we can do a follow up one of these days. But if you got any questions, hey Paul, where can they drop some questions?
Hell yeah, yeah. Dan, where can people find you?
I just asked you, where can they do questions?
Fine.
You just ignored me.
What was your question?
I said, where can they put down some questions for us? Like follow-up questions for you specifically. You're a veteran in the industry. I want to give them an opportunity to ask something if they want to.
Yeah. Well, that led into where can they find you. I was going to lead that, but yeah. So
yeah, I jumped the gun.
That's
My
okay.
apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. We'll figure this out. We're noobs. You know, we got film.
That's how you can tell we're authentic.
Yeah,
it's a labyrinth of a conversation.
Man, these guys suck. They're so good.
We're the Tommy Wiseau's a podcast, huh?
Oh God, no. Well, maybe.
Oh, hello, Paul.
So we have a Facebook group. I'm pretty sure we have an Instagram. We have contact there. But Dan, what's the name of your follow handles and such?
All right, so I actually have 2 different locations. Both of them are underneath the name Theodore Bear Dog, and one of these days I'll tell everyone where that comes from. But it's on Instagram, Theodore Bear Dog, or Facebook underneath Theodore Bear Dog. Where can they find you, Paul?
Oh wow! Thanks for asking, Dan. People can find me.
I had it written down on my hand.
Oh, good. Tattooed like Memento.
Yeah, exactly.
You can.
I'm just reading a script all around my body.
Perfect. You can find me at Paul Allen Dixon, ALAN, not ALLEN. Don't trust the ALLEN. Paul Allen Dixon. I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, website, you name it. Please reach out and ask questions. I've already had people contact us about the podcast, and we're really excited to hear from you.
Now, I do wanna kind of jump in and say, thank y'all for listening. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
As I'm sure Paul does too. We're really happy to be here. Just making hopefully some really entertaining stuff for you.
Yeah, definitely. One last thing I want to say, and this will be probably my sign off, and you say whatever you want in response. Thank you for your service, Dan.
Oh, well, thank you for your service.
And that's how we'll end the podcast. All right.
All right.
Have a good one, everyone.
All right, take it easy.